Hi everyone, Helen Blunden here at Activate Learn on Twitter. It is time for another book review, and this is my second book for 2022. I'm on a roll already. It is a book that I've had in my Kindle for a long time by an author who was one of the co-founders of the School of Life. The author's name is Roman Krznaric, and the book, an ebook that I read, is How to Find Fulfilling Work. Now, it's quite a strange book for me because I guess I'm at a point in my life where I'm now thinking, where to from here? I am currently employed, but I am thinking that my next job is actually going to be retirement from formal employment. I don't know when that'll happen. I see it in my future. So I thought I would start with this book and then work my way through his other books. And who knows, I may have found something of interest that it's not about fulfilling work, but having maybe a fulfilling life. Maybe I could put some of the concepts that he has shared in his book into more of, rather than professional development, more personal development. So the book is effectively about how to find fulfilling work. It's interesting because in this day and age where everyone now with COVID, with the pandemic, everyone is reassessing what is important in their work and what's important in their life. And we may have heard of this concept of this great resignation. There's a lot of people using the pandemic as a impetus or the catalyst that has sent them to start looking for alternative work. Now, one of the concepts in this book is that Roman says that there is really no need for you to get up and move jobs completely. There are means and ways of being able to find your own work fulfilling by creating some kind of challenges, experimental projects, radical sabbaticals, he calls them, branching projects, and also conducting some kind of conversational research for things that you can do in your current work to be able to find meaning in it. In this book, he talks about the finding meaning in work is really quite a new concept ever since the Renaissance, simply because work in the past for people has been a hard slog, and it's only fairly recently people now want meaning and purpose in their work and for what they do. He talks about the three concepts of work as being meaning, flow, and freedom. If you can find work that allows you to have some meaning in your life, allows you to get into the zone of flow, and allows you some kind of freedom, whatever that freedom means for you, so be it. That's fantastic. Good on you. He talks about also how to create a bespoke career, how to kind of find work or make the current work that you're in more interesting for you. He shares some ways to be able to do this through some kind of questions and also some activities. He also tells us to think about how we're judging work or whether other people are making us judge our work. So are you in work that your parents actually pushed you to do? Are you in work where you are not forced, but societal pressures get you to be in this form of work? If that's the case, then hey, maybe it's time to change. Now, what I did was I looked at the book, I read the book, and I thought to myself, what are maybe a couple of activities that I could use for my own and think about how can I improve the current work that I'm in, although I'm quite grateful to work for a company that is focused on personal and professional development, and that allows me to bring my whole self to work. And I also kind of thought about, well, okay, once that work finishes and I'm staring down the barrel of retirement, what would I want in my retirement? It might not be a form of work, but it would be some kind of form of outputs that I'll be doing. And so I decided to take two activities in this book, show you a little bit through my own note taking what I would do for my life, and maybe that these activities also trigger something for you. Now, these two activities, which I'll show you in the next part of the video, the first one is he asks us to imagine ourselves in 5 different alternative universes. And if we were in an alternative universe, what kind of job would we be doing? So 5 different jobs, and write those down. And it was really interesting to see how quickly I rattled them off. I kind of exactly knew what jobs I'd be doing. And then from that, he talks about, well, what's the flow conditions? What's the environment like? Why do we get into that element of flow for these jobs? And then to find whether we could incorporate those or replicate those in our work. So the second activity that I did was, when do I go into flow state? And so I thought about the times where I go into flow and what am I doing then? Why do I love it so much? And my challenge then is going into retirement or going into whatever it is, my next phase of work, whatever that work would be, what are the things I need to incorporate and look for and implement?
So here we are into my note and looking at the 2 different exercises that came out of the book. So what I've done here is, the first exercise was, if you were to be in an alternative universe, what careers would you have? And, I've been thinking about this. I think that the top 5 things that come to mind for me, something to do with books. Maybe a librarian, but the idea of going back to university just puts me in dread. Anyway, maybe some kind of librarian or someone who sells books, a writer, a traveller. And when I say travel, something always in Europe inspires me. That seems to be my place of where I want to go. A historian of some sort, because I love history and I love nautical history. And I think the 5th one, my career would definitely be a student, but not a student in the sense of formal education, but someone who is constantly learning through immersing herself in life experiences. And if I really think about, when do I go into my flow state, which is a really good question. And I think when I think back, it's got to be something to do whenever I'm in a bookstore or a library. I tend to lose myself in there. Whenever I'm researching on something with the idea of being able to write about it, I lose myself in there. I lose myself when I go down rabbit holes, when I'm curious about something, and then when I get an idea that I have to do something with or create something and put my own spin on things, I'm completely in the flow there. I also am in the flow with other people, but from teachers who seem to be, I guess, living their craft or exuding their craft, who are their craft. They're not the people who are running businesses. They're people who are just doing it for the love of doing their craft. And another thing that I'm in the flow is when I'm kind of planning a new knitting project. And I think that comes from the curiosity and the creativity, from the idea of finding something new, wanting to create something from it, and then putting my own spin on things, whether it's a new yarn, whether it's changing the pattern a bit, whether it's learning kind of like a new style that is in the pattern that I don't know, that gets me down the learning route. So they're the 2 things I thought I would do from this book. So 5 different careers, and when do I find myself in a flow state? So now the challenge is, in the next phase of my life, retirement, because I can't see myself continuing on with work, what does that look like in my life? Maybe I'm already doing it. I think I am.
So these are the things that I got out of this book review from Roman Krznaric on how to find fulfilling work. And I challenge you to have a look at the description box below and see, what would your 5 jobs be, or when do you get into flow state? So that's it from me now. I hope you found this book review useful and relevant, and all the best in exploring your situation with regards to finding fulfilling work for yourself. Okay then, bye for now.